Hi again. So I'm back here with the Major Arcana. So we ended the last video on the Empress, who is the mother. She's the mother of the tarot world. She's the mother of the maiden, mother, crone, three stages of life of women. And she is partnered up with the Emperor. So that's who we're going to start with. So the Emperor of the Major Arcana, he's the number 4. And he's the dad. He's the father of the tarot world. I like when he shows up. You just feel like, you kind of feel like, okay, because he's the soft place to land. You can always count on your dad, or at least hopefully you can if he's a good dad. And he is a good dad. This one's a good dad. So he's number 4. And like I said, I'm going to go through the numerology of tarot, but just to give you a hint, 4 is about stability. So he provides that stability. There's a reason why he's on a big square, stone throne. You're not moving this guy. He's not going anywhere unless he wants to go somewhere. But he's also that sage advice for you. And he's always going to provide advice that is best for your higher self. So sometimes he'll provide advice that you don't want to hear because you want to do something that might not be good for you down the road. He'll provide you the truth, and he'll provide you the advice that's best for your higher self. So know that of anyone in the tarot world, you can always count on the Emperor to tell you the truth. He'll always give it to you straight, and he'll always give it to you with love. However, sometimes it can be harsh. Definitely the Empress is much softer and a little bit kinder. He's not always kind. I mean, he is kind, but he is blunt. Let's put it that way. So he's blunt. And he's all about stability, security, continuity, all that kind of stuff. He likes his the stability of it. He's got 2 ram's heads, so he's very much the Aries type of energy that'll bust through walls for you if you need that to happen. He also represents us needing to be independent because we grow up and we want to become independent of our parents, of our father and our mother and that sort of thing. And often when we're wanting independence, it's often from our father that we want that independence, that sort of thing. He's about the home, as is the Empress, but he's more about the structure of the home and the bones kind of thing, right? He protects us against the heat and the cold, and he's about controlling the environment, right? So that, and I don't mean controlling in a very egotistical way. I mean, if we're cold, he makes it warm for us. If we're hot, he cools it down for us. He builds the home so that you can have that heating system and, air conditioning. He does what dads do, he makes you comfortable. He wants you to be comfortable. He's about the need to get your shit in order, basically. Get your ducks in a row. Because again, he's about that security, but he's about order as well, right? He likes order in his life. He doesn't like chaos. The Empress knows that there can be chaos sometimes. Childbirthing, giving life, all that kind of stuff. When it comes in, it gets messy. He doesn't like mess. So, he's more about order and, everything having a home, that sort of thing. So he's about getting your ducks in a row, get your shit in order so that you can live a good life, right? He's about addressing both the rigid and the perfectionism. So sometimes when he shows up, his warning is, are you being too rigid? Because he can be a little rigid, as dads can be, right? So he's about reflecting on whether, are you being too rigid in this situation? Are you creating a block? Like sometimes when people are like, should I make this step forward? Should I do this? Should I do that? And when he shows up, the 3 main questions I'll ask is, are you looking for that perfect moment? Are you being too much of a perfectionist? Are you getting lost in the details because you're sort of creating a block? I have a lot of writer friends, and I've written a few things myself, and the sort of joke amongst me and my writer friends is that when you're at home or wherever, especially if you're at home writing, you'll do your laundry, you'll get your dishes done, you'll be dusting things. It's like your house is super clean. Have you written a word? No, because you're avoiding it, right? Because you're waiting for that inspiration or that perfect time. So it's like, are you being too much of a perfectionist? Also, too, are you creating blocks in your life? Because sometimes he can create those blocks. He doesn't create them. What he is he's reflecting you. And so when he shows up, if he shows up in your reading or shows up in a reading for a client, that's when you ask, are you waiting for those perfect moments? Are you being too much of a perfectionist? Are you being too rigid in what you're demanding? Is it your way or the highway? Maybe you need some flexibility. How egotistical are you being? Are you, checking your ego at the door, or is it coming in with you? Because he can also be about wanting power, because he's a powerful man, right? But we all sometimes can be in that position of, well, I'm doing this for the power of it, or I'm, power tripping others that are involved in this, or, I'm saying it's my way or the highway kind of thing. So, how involved is your ego here? And get them to talk about the situation as well and how they feel about things, because you'll often be able to pick up little clues whether they're speaking from their ego or whether they're speaking from their heart. And this is when you kind of delicately and gently and always with love, get them to look at this, because it can be hard, even for the best of us that are loving people all the time, to realize, oh my God, my ego is in the way. Yeah, I am power tripping people. Yeah, I'm saying, yeah, my way's the right way and it's the only way. So when he shows up, he can be about stability coming in. He can be about love. He can be about that sage advice, that soft place to land. But he can also be about, are you being too rigid? Are you being a perfectionist? Are you being too dominating? Are you, coming from a place of ego or a place of love? So those things need to be examined when the emperor shows up. Excuse me. So then, after the emperor, he is ultimately the wisdom, though. So also, too, he can be, if someone's questioning something, he can be that sort of reassurance that you have the wisdom to make this decision, or to decide which way you need to go, or to handle the situation. You have the wisdom, don't doubt it, kind of thing. So it depends on the reading, but these are all things that he can mean. Okay, so then we move on to the Hierophant. So the Hierophant is a little bit like the Emperor in that he's the rules card. He's often called the Pope card. So there was the female Pope, which is the High Priestess. So he's sort of the counterbalance to her. He is the Pope card, or often called the Pope card. He's also one of the marriage cards. So there's 2 marriage cards in the tarot, and this is one of them. He's the one in the Major Arcana. There's another one in the Minor Arcana. So when he shows up, it's often, often I want to clear this out of the way right away. I'm like, are you contemplating marriage in your life, or is there a marriage coming up in your life? So like if a mother's sitting there and it's like, is there a marriage coming up in your life? Because like maybe she's married to the dad already. She's not contemplating marriage, normally speaking. You never know, right? Can't judge these things. But maybe, there's a son or a daughter, maybe her sister's getting married, maybe her cousin is getting married, get them to, so clear that out of the way. And if it's, someone like a cousin or something, like, is it an important marriage to you, or is it just, it's just another family marriage? So clarify then, and also qualify whether it's an important marriage. Like if it's a marriage that her daughter's in or her son's in, then that's an important marriage. If it's, her sister that's getting married, it might be an important marriage. She might be part of the wedding party. But if it's a cousin, if it's a distant cousin or something like that, are you going to this wedding? Is it an important wedding? Are you close with this cousin? So you can qualify it that way. So like I said, he's one of the marriage cards. That's just one of the possibilities. So I usually try to clear that out right away, whether it is that or not, right? So he's also called the High Priest. So he's the counterbalance to the high priestess. He's the high priest. Some books will refer to him as the high priest. So as not to get you confused, that's what they're talking about. They're talking about the Hierophant card when they say the high priest. So he stands for the world of faith. He's about faith, having faith, right? And deep trust, having that trust and faith. He's representative. He used to have a very negative connotation for a long, long time, but he's sort of transitioned, and he's sort of that representative of the universe, you know, having that trust and that faith in the higher powers that be, or the universe, the angels, the spirit guides, whatever you want to call it, source, spirit, to have that faith about things will unfold as they should, kind of thing. He is also one of the tarot protection cards. So he's a protection card. So if someone's scared about something and the Hierophant shows up, then you know, okay, there's protection. A lot of times, if there's a police officer involved, like he's a husband or he's an uncle or something like that, sometimes the Hierophant card will show up when there's a judge or a police officer, in particular police officers, in my experience, because they're about protection too, right? And they're part of this sort of this world kind of thing. So yeah, he's about the trust and assurance and a deep sense of our personal life and our future, having that trust that it will unfold as it should. The other thing that the Hierophant is about, he's about bringing community together. So the high priestess is about taking one student at a time and teaching them the mysteries of meditation and stillness and quiet. He has embraced that as well. However, he's more about bringing community together. He's often talked about when it comes to traditions, family gatherings, religious gatherings, whatever it might be. I mean, obviously he's a priest of sorts because he's a pope. So a lot of times people go to church at Easter or Christmas or, you know, funerals, weddings, things like that. We end up in a church. So he's about bringing community, bringing family together. Overall, he's also got two pillars, and he's sitting in a throne that he's kind of in between, offering that sort of that balance. He's got these keys are St. Peter's keys, so they're the keys to heaven. So like I said, he kind of represents that energy of the universe. He's got two priests down here at his feet. You'll notice, again, reoccurring theme, one priest has roses and one priest has lilies on his robes. So he's about, you know, the masculine and the feminine energy coming together. He's got three crosses coming down here because 3 is a particularly magic number, and he is actually the number 5. Okay, so he's a number 5 card, and number 5s are about transition, and they're hard transitions. So oftentimes 5s are about going from a not so great place to a much better place, but getting there is going to be difficult. It's going to be with sacrifice, it's going to be with hardship, but you're going to get there. So that's what he's about too. He can also be about that hard transition. So if you notice the 5, watch what you notice, watch what your client notices, because if they notice, oh, he's a number 5, then maybe it's a transition kind of card. So there's multiple layers to this card as to what it could be in a reading. So it can be about protection, it can be about transition, it can be about bringing family together, it can be about marriage in particular, that sort of thing. Now we're going to move on to the Lovers, which is number 6 in the Major Arcana. So we've got the Lovers here. So the Lovers is often called the choice card because in a lot of other tarots, it's often a man and 2 women, so a love triangle, and he can't have both. And he can't have a little of one and a little of another. He has to make a choice, right? So that's why this is often called the choice card, the Lovers card. Because a lot of people hear the Lovers and they think, oh, love. Not always about love. It's about choices. It's about making that decision. But it's also not, you know, picking between people. I mean, it can be partly that. But it's about making the choice to commitment. So commitment, when you make the choice to marry someone, you're making the choice that they come above parents. You know, you're choosing your new spouse, because you normally don't get married and then go back home to your parents and go, okay, see you later. You move in with your new spouse and you create your own family, right? So it's about the leaving of your parents, or it's about leaving the lifestyle of being a bachelor or bachelorette. You know, it's not about just you anymore. It's now the two of you in partnership, going forward together to build a life. It's about, you know, leaving, like I said, that lifestyle of, you know, perhaps not being monogamous and having a few different dates around, and you know that now you're married, so you don't do that anymore, kind of thing, right? So it can also be about hard choices that need to be made, and it can also be about like heart-centered choices that need to be made. So that's where the love comes in. So it kind of combines two topics. It points to a great love experience, but leads us to the knowledge of the mind that is associated with this step. The necessary decision, the rejection of the existing living environment, because once you get married, it changes, right? And even if you've been living together, I've heard many couples say, yeah, it does change, because it does add that extra layer of commitment. You know, it's like, okay, now that we're legally married, you know, I couldn't just walk out the door. I mean, yes, you can, but now there's paperwork involved and all that kind of stuff. So, it's also, this card can be used, it's called the decision card as well. So when this shows up, it means a decision needs to be made. It's like, it can be, we're asked to choose with a full heart. So it's about examining your heart and seeing what you really want to do, right? These two guys are, well, this one's a woman, man. These are representative of Adam and Eve, sort of every man, every woman kind of thing, right? And the theme stressed by this card can be determined in the context of the question. In any case, it means a big, unconditional yes. Often it means a big decision needs to be made. Your heart needs to be examined. More often than not, the decision is yes, because they do come together. And you've got an angel here. So this is one of the angel cards. I talked about angel cards in a previous video. And this is actually the angel Raphael, because he's about the heart chakra, which is the color green, because a lot of people think it's red or pink. Pink you can use for the heart chakra. Pink is definitely about committed love. Red is more about lusty, hot, passionate love. So keep that in mind. But this is the angel Raphael bringing these two together, because he's all about healing, unity, that sort of thing. He's about the heart chakra, the bringing together of love. He's also the angel for doctors, because he's about healing. He's the master healer. His symbol with the snake and the thing, that's the doctor symbol. That's actually Angel Raphael's symbol as well. So this is one of the angel cards. So we've got the Chariot next. So the Chariot, here's the Chariot. Okay, so the Chariot is about jumping forward, movement forward, big movement. This is one of the victory cards. I believe it's the first of the victory cards, actually, in the Major Arcana. And it's a conditional victory card. So there's three victory cards in the Major Arcana. Two of them have conditions, and one of them is just straight up victory. So the Chariot is the first of the victory cards. And the reason, so the condition of this is that you are the driver of the chariot, right? And you'll notice that these curtains up here have stars, because they are our reminder that we are connected to the heavens and to earth, because we are in the cart of the chariot that's on the earth. So we're now almost taking that position of the magician, right? Reminding us of heaven and earth and our connection to, all about manifesting in what we want. And when we say we're connected to heaven and earth, that's the alignment of our conscious and subconscious coming together, because when those two are aligned, then things that we want to come in, that we've manifested, come in very smoothly and more easily and more powerfully for us. So the condition of the victory. So when this shows up, it means awesome, great. You're going to have victory whatever you want is going to happen. However, as the driver, you are in control. You need to move forward is one of the conditions. The second condition is you need to stay balanced. So you'll notice down here that there's two sphinxes. One's black, and one's white. And anytime you look at any of these Major Arcana cards, the Chariot and any other decks, you'll often notice that it's often a moving vehicle of some kind. And there's like, if it's a horse and buggy, there's a black horse and there's a white horse. And what these sphinxes or horses or whatever they are representative of in any other deck is you want to drive them forward, because part of the condition of this card for your victory is you have to move forward. But they want to go sideways, and they want to go sideways and pull the whole chariot apart, have you fall all over the road and that sort of thing. But again, you're the driver. You've got the reins for the cart or the chariot. You're holding those reins, and you're keeping these two looking and heading forward. And you do that with balance. So when this card shows up, I'm always happy to see it because it means there's victory up ahead. The only condition is you have to stay balanced, you have to maintain control as the driver, and you have to move forward. You cannot hesitate. And you can't wish-wash, you can't lollygag, you can't drag your feet and wonder, should I, shouldn't I? No, just move forward. Move forward and do it with balance. Be in control of your chariot and move it forward and keep it balanced. So it's about pressing forward and taking risk. So a lot of times when this shows up, there's often a risky move that needs to be taken. And I encourage clients usually to take it because it's a good risk. It's the risk you want to take. It's about confidence and joy. But, there's some fear involved as well. It's about developing the skills. So driving that cart forward, being that skillful driver. And also it can be about lack of experience as well, because you're going into the unknown. So that's a little bit scary. Maybe you're not experienced with this part of the world, whatever it might be, right? So just, it's a sign to not be too confident. Like, yes, you're going to be able to drive it forward if you maintain that balance, but be willing to learn, be a willing student and absorb anything that people offer you as far as tips, advice, knowledge, that sort of thing. Be a sponge at the same time. Again, that balance, be good at what you do, but also be willing to learn. Know that, it's always good to be in that student mode, because there's always something new to learn. I've learned this time and again with tarot. I love learning new tips about tarot. It's like, oh, I didn't know that. I'm going to add that to my vast knowledge that I already have, because I try to always be that student of tarot, because again, you never stop learning with tarot. So like I said, it's your job as the driver to maintain that balance. Victory will come as long as you maintain the balance and you move forward. So we'll touch on strength here, and then we'll take another little break, okay? So we've got the strength card. So I like the strength card. The infinity symbol shows up again. It's all about those possibilities that open up. The card is kind of similar to the Magician. So it's got the same kind of feel, that sort of thing. Thus the reason it has that infinity symbol, because they're very much brother cards kind of thing. There's emphasis on the inner strength and the inner harmony as well. It's about courage and passion, which drives the expression of this card. So most strength cards in any tarot deck will always have a lion. As soon as you see the lion, you pretty much know it's the strength card. And it's about the lion or the animal instinct that's within us. So this strength card is not about suppressing, first of all, okay? It's not about suppressing our animal appetites, but it's about mastering them and gaining control on the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual level. So very much like the Magician, it's about bringing, the endless possibilities together, connecting heaven and earth. But it is also about, you know, again, controlling, learning to control our emotions. You know, I'm sure you've heard the expression that, you know, you can't control anything but your reactions, right? So very true. This right here, the lion, is representative of our reactions. What have your reactions been like? So when this card shows up, I often use it as a form of encouragement, but I also question too. So it means that you have the strength to move forward. So again, this is very much the same feel as the magician. The magician at the beginning who unpacked our hobo bag when we were the fool, and said, you've got all the skills, you've got all the tools, you've got all the talent that you need. Well, the strength card is showing us that we have the strength to be able to do it. It's, do we choose to use the strength? Do we choose to make those decisions for, you know, having those emotional reactions that, you know, don't go out of control, making those healthy decisions for both our physical body, for our mental health, for our spiritual health, for our emotional health. You know, are we taking care of ourselves? Are we controlling ourselves in those ways? So again, it's not about suppression or limitations or I've got to stop or I've got to cut this off or blah, blah, blah. It's about reframing or changing things, changing the way we react, changing the way we, you know, do things, you know, like how we interact with people or situations or whatever. One of the videos I do is the most powerful phrases you can use. So watch those videos, because this is very much in line with the strength card of how you can sort of reframe the way you see things, the way you react to things. So if you watch those videos, you'll very much start to understand what the strength card is all about. So like I said, we'll take a little break there and then we'll do a few more cards. All right, thank you for joining me. Bye.